Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Macon-Bibb County Pre-Commission Meeting, acting as Committee of the Whole. Today is Tuesday, March the 1st, and the time is around 4:03. Welcome everyone here to the meeting. We'll begin with the approval of the minutes. The approval of the minutes for Pre-Commission, acting as a Committee of the Whole from February the 1st, 2022. February the 1st, that is. Can I get a motion to approve? A motion by Commissioner Wynn, second by Commissioner Bronson. Any question regarding that item? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. We don't have any announcements today, so we'll move on to item 3, which is appointments, reappointments to authorities, boards, and committees. We'll begin with item 3A, which is a resolution appointing Aaron Keller to serve as a member of the Friends of Rosa Parks Square Board. That is sponsored by Mayor Pro Tem Seth Clark, who is responsible for making these appointments. Commissioner Clark, would you like Pro Tem Clark to make the motion? So moved. Got a motion by Pro Tem Clark. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Bronson. Any discussion regarding Ms. Keller?
And she could not be here tonight.
Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries. We'll move on to item B, which is a resolution appointing Clarence Thomas to serve as a member of the Friends of Rosa Parks Square Board. Commissioner Pro Tem Clark, would you like to make that motion? So moved. Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Bronson. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda at 6 o'clock meeting. Item C is a resolution appointing Jonathan Barton to serve as a member of the Friends of Rosa Parks Square Board. Mayor Pro Tem Clark. So moved. Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Bronson. Yes, sir.
Jonathan's here. Jonathan, would you mind standing up? And Jonathan's a great guy. We served in a leadership meeting together.
Thank you for being here today. Thank you for that recommendation. And Ms. Lucas, Commissioner Lucas, do you have something to add?
I was going to ask if that completes the membership, if that's a full membership. Okay.
This will. Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. We do have a motion and second. Is there any discussion? Hear no discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you, and thank you for being here. That will be on the consent agenda tonight at 6 o'clock as well. Item D is a resolution reappointing Eric P. Manson and Joanne T. Fowler to serve on the Macon Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. I've spoken to their board, and they've been excellent members. They are eligible for reappointment. They've asked us to reconsider reappointing both of these people to that board. Can we get a motion to approve? A motion by Commissioner Bronson. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Wynn. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. Commissioner Lucas, do you have something? No. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to something fun and exciting. It's called new alcohol beverage licenses. Item 4A is a new alcohol beverage license for Dollar General located at 3824 Pinona Avenue, Macon, Georgia. Before you get too excited, the legal recommendation for this tonight is to deny that motion. And we will allow our attorney, Frank Howard, to inform us on what the denial is based upon.
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm Assistant County Attorney Frank Howard. And I reviewed this application, and the application as submitted indicated this license was eligible for approval. However, upon further investigation, I noted a store known as Joy's Pick and Scratch at 3691 Spencer Circle, which is located within 2,500 feet of the proposed Dollar General alcohol license location. Pursuant to Macon-Bibb Code Section 4-369A, you cannot open a small box store such as Dollar General within 2,500 feet of a Vice Mart. And so I called the engineering department and asked them to go out and check out the distance between Joy's Pick and Scratch and this Dollar General, and the distance was 1,210 feet, well within the minimum, well short of the minimum distance. So that being said, when this application was filed, they reasonably believed, based upon relying on the engineers, on the measurements provided, that they were going to acquire an alcohol license prior to submittal. But nonetheless, this is grounds for denial. However, the commission may choose to reject the application, and thus Dollar General would be able to get a refund for the amount spent for the license.
Thank you, Attorney Howard. Am I the only one that didn't know they serve alcohol at Dollar General? Okay. I'll make sure. Okay. So we have two options. The first option, I guess, is to deny. The second one is to reject that and give them a refund. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mayor.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Clark?
Just for clarification, if we reject, does that leave the door open for them to reapply, getting around the distance rule that you found?
It would give them the opportunity to reapply, but they would have to apply in a manner that was for a business type that is allowed to receive an alcohol license at that location, with the other considerations such as this Joy's Pick and Scratch.
Commissioner Jones?
So if we make the motion to reject, they get their money back.
Commissioner.
Okay. I make the motion to reject the application.
Got a motion by Commissioner Jones, a second by Commissioner Wynn. Any further questions regarding this item? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion to reject, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries. Going to move on to item B, which is a new alcohol beverage license from Marketplace located at 5631 Houston Road, Macon, Georgia. The recommended action tonight for that item is for approval. Anything particular about this location here, Mr. Howard?
No, Mayor.
Okay, you got a copy of the picture up in front of you on the screen, and is this a new business or is it a transfer?
This is, it's marked as a new business.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion to approve. Mr. Bronson, I heard your voice, but I don't see your light.
What's the distance on the next liquor store and or if church in that location?
So this is going for when this location you're talking about this current Shell Food Mart. Let's see, that is not listed in this documentation because the gas station is not subject to the same distance requirements as a Vice Mart or small box store.
Thank you, Mr. Bronson. Commissioner Watkins?
I know somebody asked, was it a new business? And from my looking over the paperwork, it was the first time I had seen a lease assumption in the area. Is the agreement that's happening there.
Do you mind rephrasing, Commissioner?
You used the phrase lease assumption, or assignment. Like there was and I can't pronounce either of the phrase, but there was a business that started with the K that was leasing, and they had the license, and now they're assigning that lease to a new business that starts with H.
That's correct. And that's sufficient to show that this business has a right to operate a business location with alcohol license.
And it just always strikes me as strange that somehow that's classified as a new business, because when I hear new business, it makes me think that someone is constructing something that hasn't existed before. But I guess in fact, it seems as though it's always been a gas station there, and it's just transferring hands.
Yeah, I think the reason it's listed as new business because generally a new business has to come before the full commission. A renewal only goes before the mayor and the sheriff and for approval. So anytime there's a transfer of ownership or a new business or a new particular business at the same location, it has to go before the full body. I think that's the clarification. Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Commissioner Howell?
Along the same line, this is not a new business. This is the same business that's been in business. They're just changing names or changing ownerships. And in my personal opinion, they should apply as such, not as a transfer.
You understand? Perhaps there's some policy change that need to be further educated on, but I know The reason it's on this calendar is because it's listed as a new business, otherwise it wouldn't need to go before this body.
That's correct. Only new businesses or transfers of ownerships go before this body, and the consideration is the same or if it's a new business or a transfer of ownership.
That's correct. Commissioner Wynn?
Really just a transfer of ownership then, instead of new business? I see what Commissioner Watkins is asking about.
The business
I
was
mean,
already,
I know this
an
business is already
existing
there. It's a
business.
new
Now they're
owner.
transferring ownership, and they
So-
basically signed a lease to this particular location, so they had to apply for a new business license.
Different wording for something like that, transfer of ownership or new, it's not a new owner. I mean, this business has been in existence with alcohol sales, but it's a transfer, basically. I don't know why we can't call it that. Call it like it is. But anyway.
Okay, any other questions for Attorney Howard? Did we have a motion to approve or deny? Got a motion by Commissioner Lucas to approve. Commissioner Wynn to second that? Okay. We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We got 2 nays. That's a Clark and who's that? Mr. Bronson, okay. All right, moving on to item C, new alcohol beverage license for Thomaston 2021 LLC DBA Shell Food Mart located at 6369 Thomaston Road. Legal recommends approval. We get a motion to approve? Got a motion by Commissioner Lucas. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Wynn. This is way out Thomaston Road next to the Dollar General store. Those of you who are familiar with that location. We have a motion and second. I hear you. You don't have to justify that to me, Commissioner Lucas. But did you know that some Dollar Generals are starting to serve alcohol? Some Dollar Generals are starting to serve alcohol, apparently. Not yet. All right. We got a motion and a second. Any further questions regarding this item that's located on Thomaston Road, not in East Macon, where Commissioner Lucas resides? No further comments? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 5 is Women's History Month. This is a resolution to recognize the month of March 2022 as Women's History Month. That is sponsored by Commissioner Lucas as well as Commissioner Valerie Wynn. We're going to entertain a motion and second at this time. Got a motion by Commissioner Lucas, second by Commissioner Wynn. We will have a more formal presentation at the meeting at 6 o'clock. We'll tell you that just a couple hours ago we had a proclamation for Verda Colvin for Women's History Month, and I think it was only fitting to honor her in that regard, all the things she's done for Macon-Bibb County, and the first one that we've done this month. So I think that is fitting for her, and she's also up for re-election. And I won't say anything else about that except for she is a great judge. So at this time we have a motion and second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously. We're going to move on to item 6A, which is a park for Major Cole Hogan, an ordinance to authorize the development of a new park to be known as the Major Cole Hogan Memorial Park and appropriate an amount not to exceed $500 fund balance to the Parks and Beautification budget for the purpose of purchasing and installing signage honoring Major Cole Hogan. That is sponsored by Commissioner Mallory C. Jones III. Commissioner Jones, would you like to be heard on that?
Say a word or two.
Yes, sir.
If you look at the resolution, Major Hogan grew up in Macon, went to school here. He had a 21-year military career. He was a Green Beret. He was working at the Pentagon when 77, the American Airlines flight was hijacked and flown into the Pentagon, where he was killed along with many others. His commanding officer, Major General Kinzinger, said he was a dedicated officer and a soldier's soldier. I know General Colin Powell was one of his heroes, but he was one of those heroes who died in that tragic time. And I think it's this park is this passive little park, this little median intersect, has unofficially been that already. The Macon North Rotary Club had done some things there. I don't. Do we have a picture of that shows it now? Can you show that? Have you got a close-up of that little monument? There it is. So that's already there. So I don't know if there's going to be any money needed, but that's a part of it from the ordinance standpoint. But he and his parents lived on that street. So anyway, I think it's a nice thing to do. It's recognized already in the neighborhood, and he was an American hero who gave his life for his country.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, for making that, and I take that as making a motion for approval.
Yes, sir.
We get a second? Second by everyone else. Also, Commissioner Paul Bronson would like to be made a co-sponsor of that. If anybody else would like to be a co-sponsor, please let Ms. Cross know. We do have a motion and second. If there's no further questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. We want acceptance of grants. We have several of those on the agenda tonight. I will remind you, we do have a need to go to executive session during pre-commission, so we'll be doing that at the appropriate time before we adjourn. But item 7A is a resolution authorizing acceptance of health promotion and well-being grant from the ACCG Group Health Benefits Program in an amount of $15,000 with no local match to develop or expand employee health promotion activities. That's my motion. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Howell. Any question regarding this item? We do have Ms. Jackson here today if anyone has any questions, but hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item B is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Macon-Bibb County EOC, granting a community development block grant in the amount of $10,000 to provision of transportation services for the homeless community. That's my motion. Can I get a second? Got a second by Commissioner Bronson. Any questions? Commissioner Wynn?
Yes, sir. I think you already know my question since I emailed you earlier about that.
That's
but
correct.
We seem to be putting a lot of money, and I want to use the word throwing money at the homeless community when we could, and I know what the resolution says. It says transportation for medical, for, I think, looking for a job, for employment, and for looking for homes, I believe it said, the three things that we were going to transport our homeless. And it has in there on page 8 where you have to identify the person applying and have their name and address. They don't have an address if they're homeless. I don't know why we keep throwing a lot of money at our homeless community. Well, I'd like to see transportation services for our elderly community that need that to go to their doctor's appointments and go to the grocery store and things like that. I'd rather see our money being spent on our citizens that are true citizens of this community and that deserve that help. I don't know why we keep putting money to the homeless, which are not really citizens of this community. It's just my feeling about this.
Thank you, Commissioner Wynn. We do have a motion and second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay.
No.
Thank you. That motion carries 8-1. Item 7C is a resolution authorizing acceptance of a Homeland Security grant from the Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency in an amount of $12,000 with no local match required. It's to be used by the Macon-Bibb County Fire Department for personal protective equipment. Chief Evers, thanks for being here today, and I know that Commissioner Bronson would like to be a sponsor of that as well. Thank you very much. If you just give a little brief synopsis, Chief Evers, about what this equipment is and what it would be used for.
Yeah, thank you for letting me be here today. Part of the items that are on this grant are for personal protective equipment for our GSAR and hazmat response team. Macon-Bibb County Fire is a Tier 2 level hazmat response team, and these are to replace some level A suits that are out of date and also that need to be replaced. Also, these are 4 gas monitors that we use on these response calls in our community. Also, the supply hoses, totes, and multi-haul systems are used during hazmat training and in hazmat operations and exercises.
Thank you, Chief Edwards. Can we get a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Bronson, second. Second by Commissioner Wilder. Commissioner Lucas, you like to add something?
I was curious, when you retire equipment, if that's what you call it, retiring, what happens? Is any of it usable? Is any of it, I mean, what do you do with it?
What we actually do, if it's equipment that cannot be used in the field for a true emergency scene, we use it during our training. All of our recruit classes that come through, we actually suit those individuals up in that outdated or equipment that's non-compliant at that point. We still utilize it through our training curriculums and all of our exercises that we do. Part of being Tier 2 is we have to do 2 training exercises a year. They're actually not in the true hot zone, which means we can still utilize that equipment for training.
Okay. If you have vehicles, you have a lot of those that go to auction. Do they?
I can tell you that on our vehicles on the fire department, I don't know that we truly get a lot of auction out of them because we run them, as I stated in previous meetings, 25 plus, sometimes 30 years. But we turn those back over to vehicle maintenance. They go back in our fleet management if we're not using them anymore. Now, for regular vehicles, as far as the road cars and things like that, not the fire apparatus, those get turned back into vehicle maintenance, and then they utilize them there reappropriate, or they go back into an auction.
Mm-hmm. Are we still doing the auction once a year?
Good morning, good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm not sure the frequency, but yes, TD Lane is the auction company, and yes, we still do it.
T. Lane Davis.
Yes, that's the company. Yes, we still do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Any further questions for Chief Edwards? Seeing no questions, we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously to be sent to consent agenda. Item D is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of summer 2022 Georgia County Internship Program grant from the ACC Civic Affairs Foundation in the amount of $2,439.60 with a large match of $168 to be paid from sponsored projects budgets and Superior Court Summer Intern Programship. That's my motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lucas. Any questions? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item E is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a 2022 county internship program. Is this the same one or different?
It's a different one.
Okay.
This one for the
All right, I want to make sure.
public defender.
ACCG Civil Affairs Foundation in the amount of $2439.60 with a local match of $168 to be paid from the sponsors project budget for the Macon Judicial Circuit Public Defenders Summer Internship Program. That's a lot to say. Can I get a motion to approve? Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Tillman. Thank you, Mr. Tillman. Any question regarding this item? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Going to move on to item 8. This time is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a commercial solid waste franchise agreement with AmWaste of Georgia for the collections of commercial solid waste, Macon-Bibb County, for a franchise fee of 5% of the monthly billing collected by the contractors to be paid for to Macon-Bibb County. That's my motion. Can I get a second? A second by Commissioner Jones. As you recall, we did the franchise fees last year. We had a couple of companies that filled out the applications for the to be awarded a franchise for commercial trash in Macon-Bibb County. They did that. There's a fee that's associated with that. And then the other payment will be a 5% monthly fee on the trash collections per can. So this is our third company that has applied, and we've awarded a franchise fee, assuming that you vote for this. This is just coming a couple months later than the other. AmWaste is another company in Macon. We have GFL, which I believe bought out Advanced Disposal, their commercial business, and we have Ryland. All three of those have applied, paid their fee application, and would be part of our franchise fee. This money would go into our solid waste department, and that money would be used to be operating our convenience centers. Commissioner Lucas?
So this is the company that's going to pick up business. Who picks up churches? Who does churches?
It's different, but these companies here, for the most part, would pick up commercial garbage cans, the large cans.
Okay, if a church has, I was just curious about that because I know in the past we've had discussion about churches and whether they were to be assessed or not, you know, and how they went about getting their garbage done, if it was free or not. So are we?
that question today. This covers strictly commercial businesses.
Well, churches would fall under commercial, wouldn't they?
That is a great question, but the answer that I know is that right now, churches do pay the solid waste fee,
Okay.
depending on the number of cans that they have.
I know they, okay. And I'm not advocating one way or the other, but I just was curious as to how they work. Because a lot of churches in Macon-Bibb.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. Commissioner Wynn?
Is this like a dumpster that they're picking up? Is that what the commercial?
That's
cans?
correct.
Yes, ma'am.
So the businesses that have dumpsters are being picked up. We already have 2 companies doing that, right?
We have several. I think it's 3 or 4 now.
Okay, this just adds to that? And
Yeah,
they're
it's
strictly commercial.
Right, and it's from the list. You get to choose which company you wish to do business with, but for those companies to do business in Macon-Bibb County, they have to pay this fee.
Okay. And we had decided on the franchise fee last year, didn't we?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And not only does it, the financial benefit there to help run the solid waste, but the other option we have is we have established a relationship with these particular companies. For example, they have to notify us now if they discontinue service somewhere. We had an issue last year where they were discontinuing service or people were not paying their bills at, say, an apartment complex, and it created a lot of garbage in these complexes, as well as some businesses lately. We've got notice from them that some don't have them on the rotation they should, and they create more garbage than they actually have dumps, meaning they may need to come more than once a week, twice a week. So this kind of gives us the ability to regulate that, to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do, and also make sure we have notice before it gets too late. So it's also an attempt to make sure that we can have a little bit more leverage with these companies to make sure they're doing a good job, but also make sure that the business themselves are keeping their property in better condition.
So the businesses picked from this list of franchise companies that we're doing business with, is that
Correct.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Who handles these garbage dumpsters that you see overflowing on premises? Who's supposed to take care of that? Because I see that around Macon quite often. The dumpster's open, the stuff is falling out, people are using it from the neighborhood. Who's in charge of that, the business itself or the company that's picking up the dumpster?
So if it's covered by these new franchise agreements, then the way it works is these trash companies will come in and they'll clean it up for you and then charge it back to that commercial enterprise.
But does the business have to call them if their dumpster's overflowing or what?
They should notice it. Like if
Yeah,
they see
should
it
is
and
the
notice
question.
it, if they see it and notice it, they are authorized to pick it up and charge it to the company.
But the company, if the company like I saw one on Northside Drive, it was overflowing and the lid was open. If the company doesn't call, but we see it.
Yeah, something we can certainly bring to the attention. I have, for example, not to throw anybody under the bus, but the Dollar General on Thomason Road.
Okay.
Mercer University, I'm sorry. The Dollar General there constantly has trash overflowing, and we had to send code enforcement out there because of the issue. And I think that particular location may have received a citation. But the fact that we have this new franchise fee, we can put that on us on the responsibility for the business themselves, because they're going to want to do it too, because once the trash goes outside the dumpster, that's a totally separate deal. They can't pick it up. They have to get out of the truck. They have to bring another special truck over there to put it in, so there's some additional costs that they're going to have to bear if it goes outside that. Most of the time, they're trying to save money and only do one pickup when they really need to have 2 or 3. This is going to allow us some flexibility to be able to monitor that a lot better than we've done in the past.
So that was my concern, is just seeing dumpsters full and overflowing on property. Who's supposed to be responsible for that? And you say if they pick it up on the ground, they can do that, and they charge back a charge to that business?
Right. It's going to be rather expensive. So
Yeah, I was
as
gonna
they
say, I
notice
hope
it,
it's
these
something
costs
that
are going to
stings
be
a little bit.
Right. It will.
Okay,
And
thank you.
what I recommend doing now, if you have that particular issue now, is to contact code enforcement with the location,
Okay.
and they'll send a representative out like they've been doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wynn. Commissioner Watkins?
And mine was the exact same concern. Anthony Arms Apartments on Anthony Road, constantly overflowing. And it's also apartment complex on Rice Mill. And I had Dollar General, multiple locations on my list now that we're talking about this. But specifically to the Anthony Arms, so what are you saying that we do? Because I've already got quite a few calls out on trying to get that resolved.
Notify code enforcement. They will open up a case, and we will track
You're on
that.
top of it? Okay.
We're good. That's all we've been doing in the past, unless something changes on there. But I know we've given out a couple of citations. But a lot of times it's gonna be something that we have to stay on this company. The biggest concern we had before was that, especially in the heart of the pandemic, people were just discontinuing service, not paying, and the company was not picking it up, and we had no notice. And we didn't get any notice. As you remember on Chambers Road, we had to go over there at our own expense and put a lien on the property for multiple trash cans. So this helps and protects the safety and well-being, I think, of the people immediately around that. At the same time, we're gonna bring back before a later time to you some other things we can do as far as business licenses for business owners who continue to leave their property in disrepair and doesn't pick up behind themselves and have this problem. So,
Just for clarity for me, because like I say, I've kind of been in the triangle of trying to figure out one in particular, and it's a kind of a confusing cycle. The waste company needs to says they need a request from the management. Management says that waste has already received their payment and they know what to do, but yet, like you say, the trash is on the side and it continues to pile. So ultimately, so from code enforcement standpoint, it is definitely the owner of the property's problem, if I'm understanding this, and they need to continue or do something with their waste company until it's cleaned up, even though am I thinking about this right, or?
you are, the owner is the one ultimately responsible for that. Our code enforcement will give them a citation, but we're supposed to be getting notification now from the company if they continue to have this issue, if it doesn't get reported to us in another area. We've also got, Attorney Howard's gonna be bringing another proposal to you very soon to specifically address, not only these types of places, but residences that continue to have large amounts of trash and everything in their curtilage of their property. So I think that we're working on those areas, that you'll have very soon to you. But you still get into a situation where they have a contract for services with a private business. The county is using our arm for health and safety and well-being of the citizens around, because it is a safety issue. Right now, we've been looking code enforcement to go over there to these locations and inspect the premises and give a citation, and they have fines and court dates. In the meantime, we're having the company pick that up, the additional trash they have at the expense, and bill the landlord of that property.
And I think I heard you right that because I guess on the street it seemed to be like under a thought process that the trash company's not responsible for the boxes that may fall on the side of the can. But like I say, if I was paying a trash company, I would expect that picked up or some failure. But we're saying that the trash company has the right to pick that up and then build accordingly as extra work.
That is correct. If it's what happens when they get full, they start, the people in the apartment start just putting it out around the can.
Right.
That's the problem we've had. If it falls out, I suspect that's the problem. But also at the same time, if the owner of the property is having a problem with the third-party vendor, because of the fact that now they have to have a franchise agreement with Macon-Bibb County, if we continue to get problems for that particular vendor, we can discontinue their ability to do business in Macon. But typically, it's been them trying to save money, especially during the pandemic, that's created this problem.
One more follow-up,
Thank you,
if I
Mr.
may.
Watkins.
Yeah.
Commissioner Wynn?
Are you through, Commissioner Watkins? Yeah. If they don't come by and pick up these dumpsters like they do weekly from homes.
Excuse me?
They don't come by and pick up these dumpsters on a weekly or bi-weekly basis like they do for our homes?
They do. As a matter of fact, I have a garbage can downtown that pick up weekly. We have some downtown that pick up every single day. There's some businesses I know, a short distance from here, they pick up 6 times a week in the alley.
Costs more to pick up more than once a month?
Certainly it costs
Okay,
more.
so I'm just wondering, some of these businesses don't want to do more than once a month because they don't want to pay it. And that's
Exactly.
when you see the stuff start to overflow the dumpster and we got so much trash around Macon, it's terrible.
Right.
I know.
Well,
Not
this
just
is
me.
one attempt to try to address that, and I appreciate your cooperation in this.
Sure.
So we do have a motion and a second. If there's no further questions, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. Item 8B is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with the Macon Judicial Circuit Accountability Court Programs to be paid from Judicial Council of Georgia American Rescues Act. And Ms. Davis, if you don't mind giving us some information on that.
Absolutely. Back earlier this year, the the courts got a grant from the state of American Rescue Plan Act funds. This is not our tranche of funds. This was one given to the state and then from the state to the court specifically. Part of that grant allows them to hire a court reporter, and so this is just a professional services agreement to hire a court reporter to provide services for the courts just to help them catch up. It's going to be up to $30,000 through the end of fiscal year 2022, so end of December.
Thank you for that information. Can we get a motion to approve? Got a motion by Commissioner Jones. We get a second? Second by Commissioner Lucas, and I heard somebody else, Mr. Wilder. Any other questions? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item C is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for construction with Pelicano Corp. Inc. for the renovation of the Bloomfield Athletic Complex in the amount of $2,897,700 to be paid with 2018 SPOS funds, Recreation Bloomfield/Gilead, property line item. We get a motion to approve? Motion for, who's that? Commissioner Watkins and Commissioner Lucas? I don't know why the heads is there. We got a motion and second. Does anyone have any questions? Mr. Murphy is here if you have any. Commissioner Jones, you have a question? Okay.
Sure, Commissioner, thank you. We will be removing the 7 ball fields that are there, the concession stand that has disintegrated, stripping all the fencing down, reworking the parking lot, the storm drainage, reworking all the fields, new fencing. The lighting has been done out there. Get 2 concession stands and 2 sets of bathrooms. Eliminate them. Then we'll start from scratch.
Commissioner Jones, you have a question?
That's correct.
That answer your question, Commissioner Jones? Yes, Commissioner Wynn?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question. We haven't done some of that already out there at Gilead?
The only thing, now, there was 2 different projects. There's Bloomfield and there's Gilead.
Okay.
They just happen to be called the same complex. We've done all the work at the old Gilead school. The only thing we've done at Bloomfield at the rec center there was to replace all the lights on the ball fields.
But these are 2 different places. That's why I was getting mixed up.
They're next door to each other, but they are considered 2 different
I knew
facilities.
we had done some work at Gilead.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I hear anything? There's an existing pool.
This doesn't include any work on the pool.
No.
This is just the ball fields.
Okay. Wasn't that a part of the? Yeah.
I can't answer that question, Commissioner. That would be up to your recreation director.
The answer is yes. And it seems like I remember discussion about,
You got the floor. I got you.
seems like I remember discussion of repairing that pool or replacing it. That was one of the main things because it's used. So it used to be used a lot.
Yeah, I'm not aware of those discussions, Commissioner.
Okay. Well, we'll consider the items we have before us today. If it needs to be redressed, we can do that. We will have a conversation in the very near future about the reallocation of some SPOS dollars that wasn't specifically required to do, but were yet projects of the previous commission. So we're going to look at that. So we do have a motion and second, I believe, on this particular item here. Any further questions? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 9A is a change to the code. I'm going to have Attorney McNeil to move forward in just a second, but this is an ordinance to adopt a new section, 26-51 of Chapter 26 of the Macon-Bibb County Code of Ordinances to require applicants for a privilege license from the Macon-Bibb County government to certify their good standing with respect to payment of ad valorem property taxes, to add cross-referencing section items throughout the code. I think we remember having a conversation just a few weeks ago with the commissioners regarding this item. We have businesses who continue to operate in Macon-Bibb County that owe us several $100,000 apiece, but yet they will use another LLC name or just themselves. They apply for business permits to open up businesses every single time we come up on planning and zoning. This is an attempt just to make sure that they're gonna be in good standing by paying their taxes. Is my opinion that when a person opens up a new business, they ought to be current with their previous business that they have with their taxes, and not to continue to open up place business after business and owe us taxes. We have an obligation to collect the taxes from Macon-Bibb County residents and to treat people equally and to allow some people to manipulate the system when we can do better. This is the purpose of this. Attorney McNeil has worked very hard. I've sent you a copy of the proposed form that we would like to be included when we send this out. This is no additional work on our employees, but this is a affidavit they'll have to sign, just like we do when we run for office, saying that you don't owe any property taxes in Macon-Bibb County. Commissioner Lucas.
Current plan of payment, is that the way that it goes? Because that's the way it is with most of these. You have a current plan that you're current with, or that you don't owe any.
This says you do
Is
not.
that
This one here says you do not owe any taxes, and it makes you list every company that you have a ownership interest in.
can see that. I think there needs to be, if an entity allows someone to enter into an agreement to make payments and they are current on those payments, then I think that ought to be a consideration. So,
I think Commissioner Lucas, item G in that allows the mayor or his head or designee to authority to impose compliance with the section for additional requirements or repayments. So we do have that in there, like we've done on several, like you have on several.
can we specify though? Cause see, you think that way, but somebody else might.
I understand.
So I think if you codify it, you've got it taken care of, and I just think that's fair because I know on the state level there are a number of things that people, they do these searches and they find who's not current on this and that or the other, and campaign disclosure, all kinds of things. And I know there's a provision that you need to be current. If you've got a plan that shows that you've been responsible enough to recognize that you owe something, that it's your responsibility, and you've come up with a plan for taking care of it. So I just would like us to consider, I don't know how my fellow commissioners feel about that, but that's a legal document that people enter into to take care of their responsibility, and I don't think that should preclude them from some other things. I'd just like to hear what others are thinking about it. And I would like to ask to amend this to include that language unless the attorneys feel like it's not necessary. But if you don't put it in there, then it's not happening.
Yeah, I wonder what the language is, and I just want to be clear. The problem I have is that someone owes $150,000 and they go set up a payment to pay $100 or $1,000. If you don't have something more of a bite, they're just going to simply choose to ignore it, which they do now anyway. And it's costing our taxpayers more money because it's less money we're collecting, which affects our millage rate and it affects what they pay. So it's one thing when elected officials may have a few $1,000s and they go in and make a payment plan. But it's another thing when you have several $100,000, but yet you continue to be able to operate your other businesses and continue to open up new businesses. This is a privilege license now. It's supposed to be regulated in that manner. So I'm not sure, Attorney McNeil, you can address the issue whether you think that we've got the safeguards in here necessary to accomplish what Commissioner Lucas is concerned about. Yes, sir. As soon as I move from Commissioner Lucas's question, I'll move over to you, Commissioner Tillman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The way that this ordinance is laid out, and I can go through the whole thing if you'd like in a little bit, but on page 2 of the ordinance, this would add a section 26-51, and the requirement specifically is in section A6 of that, near the bottom of page 2, a sworn statement that none of the individuals or entities listed in the certificate that they have to fill out are more than 90 days delinquent in the payment of ad valorem property taxes. To get to what Commissioner Lucas was mentioning, I think we could add language that says they're not more than 90 days delinquent on the payment of property taxes, comma, or are in compliance with an approved plan for the repayment of any delinquent ad valorem taxes. As far as, so I don't think the effect as it exists right now is to do that, but if you want to add that, that would be a policy decision, and I think you could amend it to accomplish that.
Who
I
make
think
it?
that's pretty much standard in agreements, though, that you take into consideration. And I don't know of a specific person or a business or anything, but I just know that there are some people who owe things and they come up with a plan to pay it. And if they fulfill their obligation, then I don't think it should preclude them. And of course, monitoring that would be somebody's job, you know, and so I just think that ought to.
I understand. I think the one issue I still have is that who determines what that approved plan is going to be? Because it's one thing if you owe a couple $1,000s. It's another thing if you owe hundreds of thousands of dollars. And setting up a payment plan that you can say, okay, I'm going to agree to pay you $100 a month is just not sufficient for that $150,000.
Okay, is there a provision for people to do that? Because if people can't do it, can't set up a plan on ad valorem, then there's no point in offering any amendment. But are there people who set up a payment plan?
I know that there are people that, for example, will send a monthly check to the tax commissioner to pay their real property taxes, but I don't know off the top of my head right now if that's people paying in advance or if they're paying on a delinquency. So I couldn't tell you if they're paying ahead or if
That's
they're paying
in
behind.
advance. They're paying in advance.
I think there are occasions that that the tax commissioner works out payment plans on there before it goes to sale. Pretty sure of that. Attorney DeGroover would like to add something real quick, and I still got Commissioner Tillman in the wing.
Mr. McNeil is right about the policy decision, but there is a provision in here now, and this, just take it for your consideration, on F, that the mayor or his designee shall have the authority to waive any requirement imposed upon making the written determination that enforcing the requirement would work an undue hardship on the applicant. That would be one of the exceptions. I mean, it's not required, but somebody could argue, I've got a payment plan that I'm paying my ad valorem taxes back in an appropriate way, and the mayor or her designee could make an exception for this and issue the license that we're talking about. So that is a fail-safe in here, but it's obviously up to the discretion of whoever the mayor is.
And the other thing, it does not affect them getting their license, the business license renewed. It just prevents them from going out and open up new business, get new zoning permits, to incur additional fees and expenses to Bibb County when they already owe money. Commissioner Lucas, I'm going to leave you to go to Commissioner Tillman. We'll come back if you still have some questions or make an amendment. Commissioner Tillman?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I just, I understand what Commissioner Lucas is sharing, and I just honestly don't think that we can regulate Donald Trump from Macon, Georgia. Nor do I think we can regulate any other wealthy business people here just in Macon, Georgia. A lot of things cause people to belly up in business. COVID-19, bad business ideas, locations, murders, a lot of things. People go out of business. And what happens is those folks that regulate it are the court systems, bankruptcies, fines, payment plans, et cetera, et cetera. There are people in our community that are wealthy folks that owe a lot of money on buildings and properties. And I understand what we're trying to do, and I think we're trying to stop them from buying property, holding on to it, doing nothing with it, not paying us, and then moving on to the next project. I think that's the intent and the goal. But I do think that we're gonna hurt that little man that went out of business from COVID, who business wasn't thriving, who had a great idea, who thought, what something bad happened here, I didn't do my research. And that's why, things of that nature happen. I do think we need to probably have more input. I mean, I'm not hard up on just saying we're not gonna support this, but I do think we need to have more input and have a conversation about it, because we do have tax liens in our community that we already have in place. And years ago, whatever this rule was, former Commissioner Ed D4 put in place, those people that owe taxes, let's put them in a cubicle. A couple of years ago, Commissioner Jones created something where we want to forgive everybody on taxes and so forth. And so we've tried all of these things. This here targets those people on the level of folks owing, as the mayor has alluded to, thousands of dollars. And I would look at, if the Donald Trump syndrome of this would prevent him from doing all those things that he's done, and just not to single him out and other wealthy folks, then their folks wouldn't be wealthy. But I think this is the entrepreneurship, this is the business model that has been broken for years. That's why you have some homeless folks on the street that's bellied up, and that's, it just didn't work out for them. So what do? I think sometimes we're punishing the wrong folks, but I understand the intent, because there are folks out here that has a lot of properties that continue to buy and thrive out here on the backs of the government, and we're not collecting our fair share. And so I say that with my question is, how does this begin to make us collect our fair share? Because I think that's the ultimate goal. Not just to say, we ain't gonna do business with you, because then they can go and put it in their sons, their daughters, their wives, their girlfriends, their other friends' name, and they continue on. So how does this keep them from doing business, or keep us from collecting, is my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tillman. Commissioner Watkins?
Yeah. I guess a lot of mine are centered around, I'm curious about the scope of the problem. Has delinquency in the taxes gotten worse? Because I know, like last time we discussed tax collections, it was a collection rate of like 97+%. So I was wondering, to prompt this, had it gotten worse? Or what is the collection rate right now?
I think the collection rate is good. I think that philosophically the problem with me is when you're looking at trying to fund services that our community needs. Take an example, mental health. An additional $500,000 of mental health could be accomplished very easily and put into a budget, but we have 2 or 3 folks in particular with properties that haven't paid their taxes that could pay their taxes. But they continue to apply for new permits to get new businesses. And they range from a large area. The ones that we have researched and looked at tend to have a lot of businesses that do the COAM machines. I know that's something that you've always been concerned about. But to me, it's fundamentally unfair to ask people to pay their taxes and they make their ends meet in whatever sacrifices and business decisions they make year after year after year, and other folks continue to open up ABC Inc., ABCD Inc. the next week, ABCDE Inc. the next week to get around to paying taxes. And they're playing that game with us, and we're letting them play that game, when in reality they couldn't get a new permit for a new business for that subsequent LLC if they were required to pay their taxes. I think it's theft. For them to not pay their taxes, timely manner. It's not the situation that Commissioner Tillman we're talking about. Someone does a hardship and goes out of business. They still have to pay that debt, and they wouldn't be opening up a new business the next day. And I'm not singling anybody out, but it's just a lot of people. I forgot my Dr. Pepper. A lot of people owe taxes, and it's not fair for people to pay their taxes on time when other people tend to get away with it to have more money. Whether it's the Donald Trumps or whoever it is in the world, that don't pay it, if they come here in Macon-Bibb County, this has been done in other counties, and we modeled this one out of another particular county that has the same language in there that we have here. But it's our attempt to make sure we maximize the amount of money we collect in a given year and not just sit around and wait for them to sell that property and somebody else pays it off. We need to have an accurate count of the money we're supposed to get in every year and provide the services we need to our citizens, and they need to be assured that they're treated the same as everybody else, whether they have $1 or $1 million. And this is what that attempt is to do. Commissioner Jones? I'm sorry, Commissioner
Done
Watkins.
it all. Well, and I thank you for that. But
Yeah.
at some point, I would like an update on, like I say, somehow to quantify what is delinquent. What are we chasing when we discuss this? Like I say, it's hard for me to know that based on. And I guess because I do share some of Commissioner Tillman's concerns that folks do go out of business, and opening up the new business does provide them with the avenue to pay off delinquent funds if they are attempting to do that. But like you say, if we do have businesses that are, like you say, 90 days is a very tight window. But if you, like you say, if you have businesses that are 5-6 years, never pay us taxes, that is interesting information. But like I say, I think 90 days is initially, that's November, March-ish, right? And I guess I was also, like you say, privileged license, but when I was reading it, some of it was like obtaining and renewing a building permit, getting plat approvals, building inspection reports, being on any board or position. Like, some of those kind of go beyond, like what I think of a privileged license would be getting an alcohol permit. So if you could, Mr. McNeil, could you speak a little bit to the scope of if a citizen owes taxes 91 days later, what is affected?
And Mayor, it might be easier if I just go through the whole
Yeah, go ahead and
ordinance,
do
if
that.
that's okay. So the main substantive body of the ordinance is in this one new code section, 2651. That section's now reserved, so this will be all new code language. A describes what goes into the certificate of good standing. So we ask for the name of the applicant, we ask for the name of the subject of the certificate. So if someone's applying on behalf of an entity that they've started, that's the name they would put there. What privilege they're applying in connection with, and I'll get to that in just a second. That'll answer your question, Commissioner Watkins. If it's an individual, if they're applying in their individual name, then we want to know the name of all business entities that they have direct or indirect ownership of 25% or more, or if they have legal control over the entity. They need to just tell us what the name of that business is. If it's an entity that's applying, for example, the businesses that are applying for alcohol licenses, then they list all individuals who have a direct or indirect ownership interest of 25% or more, or who exercise legal control. And then whoever's filling out this certificate of good standing, they have to swear under oath that the information contained is true and complete, and that none of the individuals or entities that are listed on the page are more than 90 days delinquent on the payment of ad valorem taxes. And there's kind of a catch-all. We may amend the form from time to time. So if there's additional information that we find that we need, we may add that to the form later on. Turning to page 3 of the ordinance, this is subsection B of the new section. This is the list of all of the privileges. So it's not just privilege licenses, but privileges generally, which would require someone to complete a certificate of good standing. So B1, to your point, Commissioner Watkins, is the building permits, plat approval, building inspection, certificate of occupancy, alcohol licenses, and then privilege licenses is any kind of regulated industry. That includes things like pawn shops, precious gem dealers, massage therapy businesses, any kind of industry where the county is allowed to do bail bondsmen, do some sort of regulation at the local level. Applying for any of those, you have to certify that you're in good standing as far as your taxes go. 2, being appointed to any board or position of trust. That would be any advisory board of the county or any, for example, department director position, to clarify that those people are not tax delinquent at the time of appointment. And this is only at the time of appointment. This isn't a continuing obligation necessarily, although, as we'll get to, some of these that are renewed annually, you have to do this every year when you renew. 3 If you're gonna do a bid or a sealed proposal for any of our procurement processes, you submit one of these certificates with your bid or your sealed proposal. And so you certify, that way the county's not doing business with somebody that is significantly tax delinquent. For anyone that's being awarded a contract, except on an emergency basis, in excess of $50,000 within a single year, that's going to cover contracts that we award that are not bid out, such as sole source procurement, state contract procurement, cooperative purchase agreements, professional services, things like that. And then 5 and 6 are for the purpose of addressing any real property auctions that either the county government has or the tax commissioner has, essentially saying, if you're behind on your payment of property taxes, we don't want to sell you more of the property that we have under the assumption that you might have difficulty paying those taxes as well. C addresses what happens if...
Hey, hold on, before you go to C,
Fine,
let me just
okay.
decompress from everything that was in B. Commissioner Tillman.
Mr. Tillman?
Mr. Mayor, it seems as though if the banks and the bankers and the creditors are steadily approving these folks, then who are we? What I'm saying, it seems like we should just be asking for a credit check and or a birth certificate at this point. I would offer a friendly amendment to just say that these folks need to be at least, whether it's 51% in good standings with Bibb or up to 75%, somewhere in between, because especially if we're getting zero. And I mean, from your experience and what y'all have looked at, you tell me, is it zero that we're getting, or are we at least getting 51%, or are we at least getting 75%? And I think, that as opposed could be an amendment to add to it, as opposed to just, zero them out based on a delinquency if they're not paying at all. And so if you just know that. Thank you.
Let me make sure I understand your question. Right now, we're getting $0 at all from them on a particular property or business.
Right.
And they owe significant amounts on multiple properties in different names.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm asking is, maybe we should require in the language that they need to be at least 51% non-delinquent, meaning that you paid at least 51% of your taxes and or up to 75%, somewhere in that number, and especially if they're paying zero. I don't think we, because this is the first time it's coming up, we just cancel them totally, but we got to at least give them an opportunity, because we want to collect the taxes, to say you at least need to be 51% in good standings or up to 75%. And so maybe 75 is pushing it, but at least we can collect something, or they realize that they're not going to be able to do business in Macon-Bibb County. Thank you.
Yeah, and I understand. Just be clear, we're not canceling them at all. We're just saying we request that we will not allow you to open up another business in Macon-Bibb County until you're current on your existing obligations to the taxpayers. That's what the argument is, in my opinion.
Right.
I understand what you're saying.
You're right. You're saying current, and I'm saying at least 51% or somewhere in between that number, because we're not getting anything at that point. And this way, maybe they're looking to switch in somebody else's name. But I do understand what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. Commissioner, you go back to Commissioner Watkins. You through?
Just to, I want Attorney McNeil to finish. But I guess there's a difference between what you just read and opening a business in Macon-Bibb County, right? Some of that seems a bit overarching, I guess, in my opinion. I don't know if I want to remove people from boards and some of the other stuff, because I guess I've been around long enough to know that a lot of the people, pastors, churches, and folks be having good reasons as to how and why they're in the rears, and they're contesting it and stuff like that I could see, and I'm thinking maybe and I don't even know if it applies, but the new stormwater management fee that we're doing could push people over the edge. And it might not apply to this, but it's just I do understand the philosophy on what you're going for, and I'm not opposed to having some sanctions, but some of these bullet points right here give me a little concern, I guess. But that's my thoughts right now, but maybe that changes after you finish. I cut you off before you was done, so I apologize.
Thank you, Commissioner White. Attorney McNeil.
Okay. So going to subsection C, this is if an individual is applying in their personal name, then this is what they have to supply. First of all, a certificate of good standing in their own name, saying that they and any businesses that they own or control are good on their taxes. And two, if they're applying for a privilege under section B1, which is a building permit, plat approval, building inspection report, certificate of occupancy, alcohol license, or privilege license, they also have to get a certificate of good standing from the owner of the real property where the business activities are occurring, so that a landlord or a person can't create a second entity and just do, for example, a lease from their left hand to their right hand and say, oh, I'm in good standing. They have to get the landlord to submit a certificate as well. D, if it's a legal entity that's applying, then they need to do a certificate in their own name, a certificate for each owner that's listed on the form for the entity, and if applicable, the form for the landlord that I just described. Turning to page 4, subsection E. This says, this is basically the enforcement provision. Any privilege subject to the requirements of this section may be denied if false, incomplete, or inaccurate information is provided on a certificate of good standing. Remember that these are sworn statements, they're affidavits, they're signed under oath in the presence of a notary. E2, any privilege subject to the requirements of this section may be revoked, terminated, or invalidated upon notice and opportunity for a hearing as to a subsequent finding at any time that a certificate of good standing was submitted in connection with such privilege containing false, incomplete, or inaccurate information. So if a certificate is accepted at the time you make an application and it's later discovered that you lied on that certificate, then the county has reserved the right to take that privilege away. For the building permits, the alcohol and the privilege licenses, that can include termination or revocation of the permit or license granted. For appointments, that can include removal or termination from the appointed position. For procurement matters, that can include, and notwithstanding contractual terms to the contrary, termination of the contract for cause, re-awarding the contract to a different vendor in accordance with the procurement laws, or debarring the applicant from participating in future procurement matters. And then for the purchase of real property, that can include possibly invalidating the sales contract, awarding the sale to the next highest bidder, or taking action to reverse the completed sale on the basis of a fraudulent inducement. E3, if there is someone that intentionally is submitting false information on these sworn certificates, then the county's remedies will also expand possibly to any other privileges that are granted under the county to the subject of the certificate to the greatest extent of the law. We have a similar provision in our alcohol code. It would just depend on the severity of and the nature of their violation, but that's just reserving that authority to the county. 4 says that the remedies are cumulative, and so if there are some other, for example, criminal penalties or civil penalties that may apply depending on the circumstances, we have the right to pursue those as well. And 5, if you use some sort of scheme to get around the intent of this ordinance, that's also grounds for denial or revocation of a privilege granted, as though it contained false or incomplete or inaccurate information. As the mayor mentioned earlier, subsection F, the mayor or his or her designee will have authority to waive any requirement if there's undue hardship on either the applicant or on the county. G, the mayor has the authority to impose compliance with this section as an additional requirement. If there's some new privilege that we start offering in a regulatory field that would make sense to fit into the scheme that's set up by this ordinance, then that can be added. And then H clarifies that compliance with the certificate of good standing requirement by itself is not sufficient to get a privilege under the county. You have to also comply with whatever requirements there are in the code. So take alcohol licenses, for example. If somebody is told you have to pay your property taxes before you can get an alcohol license, but then they apply for a Vice Mart, and our code says you can't open a Vice Mart, they can't come back to us and say, well, I want a refund on my property taxes because I didn't know I could get a Vice Mart license. So that's what Section H is. Sections 2 through 11 of the ordinance just introduce cross-references throughout the code to any of the areas that are regulated, so that if you're looking up the code for building permits, for example, there's going to be a section in there, if this is adopted, there'll be a section in there that says, by the way, you also need to look at the certificate of good standing requirements that are put into Chapter 26. Skipping ahead to section 12 of the ordinance on page 9. Section 12 requests that the clerk of commission transmit copies of this ordinance to the Macon-Bibb County Planning and Zoning Commission and to the Macon Water Authority. It asks the Planning and Zoning Commission to adopt similar requirements for any person that's seeking a variance, a conditional use permit, rezoning, or a similar privilege, that they be required to certify to the Planning and Zoning Commission that they're in good standing with respect to the payment of ad valorem taxes. And it requests that the Macon Water Authority adopt similar requirements for anyone seeking land disturbance permits or new commercial water service or any similar privilege from the Water Authority, and then encourages any other governmental entities exercising jurisdiction in Macon-Bibb County to consider adopting similar provisions where doing so would be in the best interest of the citizens of the county. Sections 13 through 19 are our standard boilerplate that we include in every ordinance, and then I want to note that section 20 puts an effective date of May 1st on this to give us time to train the relevant departments and to give some notice to the public as far as the changes by this ordinance.
Thank you, Attorney McNeil. Commissioner Watkins, do you have any follow-up questions on that before I move on to Pro Tem Clark?
I do not.
Okay. I'm sorry.
They can afford to pay. It's basically those that, based on this and those folks that's doing business, they're in arrears, they can't afford to pay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Commissioner Jones, do you have a question?
Yes, sir. Comments. First, to Commissioner Tillman's comments regarding the business tax or the occupational tax, which is not a good analogy. Our building services department did not send out proper notices, not accurate, not adequate. Tax Commissioner Wade McCord reported to this board after we passed that tens of thousands of dollars came in that otherwise would not have come in. So that was a success, so we should all be thankful for that. This ordinance is about treating people equally and fairly under the law. We have people who are skating on this. They're not paying what they're obligated legally to pay. And we're allowing them to exempt and play the system. That's not fair. That's not what the law says. So it's real simple. Pay your taxes as you're obligated to do. Yes, I believe Tax Commissioner Wade McCord, because he's a good and fair man, has made arrangements with people in all sorts of ways of life. Whatever their standing is, he has always helped people. I think that's at his discretion, and he's done, and I don't know all of those cases, but I think that's my sense. So this simply requires people to pay their taxes as they're obligated to do. So I'm in favor of passing it as it's stated. I don't want to exempt anybody else from their comments. I'll be fair, but I'm ready to call for the question.
Let me go ahead and let Commissioner Clark speak, and Ms. Lucas, and we'll close this out. That's okay, Commissioner Clark?
Yeah, Michael or Mr. Mayor, to our knowledge, is there anybody that's currently is in one of these buckets that of the certificate of good standing that we just received? Is there anyone currently that we know that isn't in good standing that would then not be able to sign this currently in one of these positions in Macon-Bibb County?
I'm sure there's a lot. You're talking about people who owe taxes and yes, there's a lot of them.
And have those people applied for new business licenses to get around with the intent perhaps to get around to skirt the law as this, portends to get around?
I'm not sure what their purpose is, but certainly there's a reasonable person would assume that they're taking these steps to set up multiple corporations.
They receive that benefit one way or the other.
Right.
Are they co-am operators? You said that earlier.
I think a lot of them are, but it's not particularly isolated to co-am operators.
Do they own commercial blight?
Yes.
I think this is great. I think it's almost an ethics update to the code. I think this is great, and I really appreciate it coming forward. I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Thank you. Commissioner Lucas.
Thank you. I brought up that because I'm not privy to all of these folks who are trying to, you know, avoid the system or whatever. That's the first I had heard of that. I'm sure that there are people, you know, that what's been shared with us is true. My only concern is, and I want to remind everybody sitting around here, that when we take our oath, raise our hand, take our oath, and there's a part in there. By the way, I don't owe any taxes. My stuff is jam up because it'd be in the paper. I know if I owed anything. I take pride in paying what I owe, and most other folks do as well. But when we are sworn in, we raise our hand and we say, I'm not the holder of any funds unaccounted for. And we also say, and unaccounted for means that if you owe some taxes, you got a payment plan in place. Or you've made some arrangements to take care of your responsibility. Everybody doesn't have all that they need when it's time to pay up. So even the federal government, federal taxes, they allow people to set up a payment plan. State taxes, you can set it up. I think Tax Commissioner McCord, he doesn't just do it for people that he wants to extend that privilege to. I think that's a process that people can go through. Am I not right? That people can set up a plan on some of their fees to pay, because we had an extensive discussion about that. So there is no difference in what we take an oath to and having in here something that allows for people, even if they're trying to get away with something, in order for them to benefit from these different categories, they would either have to pay all their taxes or have a payment plan in place. And if they were not willing to put a payment plan in place or pay it up, they wouldn't be eligible for these different things. So I just want to not assume that everybody's dishonest and trying to scam the system. I'm assuming too that there are folks, good folks, that we could have in some of these categories that, you know, might have a payment plan, which is a legitimate way. You have said, I am going to pay this off this way. And if you don't do it, then there are penalties for that, and then these things would be monitored so we'd know if someone failed to do that. So I just want to make sure, and I know in the past there have been people who have gotten lots and lots of architectural contracts and a whole lot of other stuff, and they owed $1.5 million in Mother's Day storm money. There are a number of situations like that, and and I wish we had had something to deal with them at that time. Many of you are familiar with what I'm talking about, and there are other cases. But I wish that we could consider that everybody's not a crook, that there are some people who that we would benefit from their services in these different categories, and allow us to insert or an acceptable payment plan. And that would bolster the mayor's ultimate responsibility in looking at the totality of the entity. I have not written out an amendment because I really have learned a lot from the discussion, but I think that I'm going to write something out and offer an amendment. I don't know what the vote is going to be on this. My vote will be no on this because I think we need to include that little statement. If the maker of this would accept this, then I wouldn't have to go through all of these changes. are in compliance with an approved plan for, oh, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, at this time, this is your legislation.
That's correct.
And I know that you've said some things, but I want to just go with the assumption that people need to have an off-ramp, a way of making it right. And if they're trying to, work the system or whatever, then adding this allows for a way for people to pay. It'll take a little longer, but they still would prove to us that we'd still be collecting. So the amendment that I'd like to offer, if I'm in order,
You're in order.
where it says 90 days delinquent on the payment of ad valorem property taxes and or are in compliance with an approved plan for the repayment of any delinquent ad valorem taxes. And I so move to include that in this section, Division 1, Section 26-51. I so move.
Commissioner Lucas, could I add one word to that?
Yes, sir. Whatever.
Before in compliance with a approved plan, is that what it says?
Approved plan.
Can we insert legally approved?
That's
if
fine with me.
That's what,
Legally approved plan. And I make that motion.
Have a motion, Commissioner Bronson has a second. Discussion on that amendment. Commissioner Wynn, you had your light on for a while. You want to comment on that first?
Yeah, since this has come up, I'm speaking from a legally paid taxpayer in full on time. I think that when you set up payment plans like you're suggesting we do, who's going to monitor it? Who's going to legally set it up? That was one thing we just mentioned, to put the word legally in there. Who's going to monitor it, and how do? I just don't. It's just like the mayor said. If it's like $200,000 and you're paying $100 a month, they don't get it, guys. I mean, that's just not going to work. And then they go open up a new business and incur another tax problem. So I just don't think putting them on a payment plan. I'm just kind of curious, Mr. Mayor, what prompted this? Did this come up with talking to the tax commissioner, Wade McCord, or?
Well, there's several things. In particular, the county's always looking for opportunities to purchase property for further use. And we chose 3 or 4 properties. All 3 of them owe a substantial amount of property taxes right off the bat. We've had experience with severe blight in our community, and we go look at those properties that have severe blight and commercial. They all owe property taxes in the blighted state that they're in. When we look at issues involving crime at certain areas that we look at that we consider nuisances, all of them involve particular same owners who owe property taxes. So this is a multi-level approach, not just simple to get taxes, but really out of fundamental fairness to all the citizens who continue to do a good job by paying their taxes and allowing other people to beat the system. I understand Commissioner Lucas's point there. The problem I have is not having some language in there that we get a large part of that, because they're going to continue to make small payment plans and continue to open up multiple businesses and continue not to pay taxes on those and continue not to repair their properties and leave them in a blighted condition that forces us to use our valuable time and resources to go after those properties. So this is a multi-level approach. It certainly involves blight, crime, and finances that could be used for other purposes. So that's kind of a long answer, but I hope I answered your question.
It does. I mean, I just wondered what prompted this, but I certainly agree with it. I think that it's equal to all. I mean, you have to pay your taxes, and everybody has to do that. 51% is not good enough. 75%, you just got to pay your taxes in full before you can start a new business and start more and incurring more taxes. So I like this. I like this plan. I think it'll bring a lot of money to the community that we are owed, that should be paid. And when you find things like you did with the blighted properties and things like that, where they owe the same people, we just need to get rid of this. We need to clean it up. I think I am in support of what your original.
Okay. Right now we're talking about the amendment.
I know that.
Okay. Commissioner Watkins.
I guess I was curious. How does this stop someone from buying property in Bibb County?
Commissioner, if they want to buy property that we're selling, they have to register at the auction to participate, and so this would be part of that registration process.
And am I wrong to say that already with that registration not owing us money is part of his clearance process on our in-rem foreclosure process?
My understanding is you just have to identify properties you want to bid on, and then essentially sign something saying you're going to come to the auction and you're going to bid at least the minimum dollar amount on that property.
So it would eliminate someone from buying properties from Macon-Bibb County.
Right, but if they're
Okay.
buying from a third party, from just a private transaction, this doesn't have any application unless they're going to get a building permit or something for that property
All right,
after the
and
fact.
on the building permit issue, and I think I want a motion to remove that, and let me talk my way through that. If I'm a private citizen who owns my house, and for whatever reason, I've shown that I'm not a Christian of good character and moral standing, and I'm in the rears on my taxes, and my roof is falling in, and it's raining in the house. Legally, I'm supposed to get a building permit to get the roof fixed. Would I be able to get my roof fixed if I'm not in good standing? It's law.
Under the terms of the ordinance as written, you would have to either show that you're in good standing, swear that you're in good standing rather, not show, swear that you're in good standing, or you could come to the mayor's office or anyone that he designates and say, this is a personal hardship for me. I can't pay my taxes right now, but I'm trying to fix my roof so that my house doesn't fall to blight and my family doesn't end up homeless. And in those conditions, any kind of hardship, the mayor or anyone he designates could sign a waiver so that that wouldn't apply to that circumstance. So there's two paths forward for someone in that situation.
I guess I don't know if that, I hear that we're trying to stop people from opening up businesses, but when I read that section, it gives me a lot of pause, because I know our system sometimes, no disrespect to anyone here, myself included, it can take us 2 weeks sometimes to respond to citizens' requests just because of the bureaucracy. And I would hate for it to be the winter time, and that's like someone's literal problem, which I very well could see. So I don't like that section for that purpose, and I'm motioning that it be struck from.
We got a motion on the amendment first.
Sorry.
Let's do that
Okay.
one, and then we can.
Okay, sorry about
make
that.
Another motion to amend.
Yeah, and certainly Commissioner Watkins is just out in front of that. It would not be the intent for anybody that had homestead property to allow them not to be able to repair their own properties. This is more business focused for people opening up new businesses, getting new permits and zonings when they owe existing money for other businesses and properties they own, so.
Dan, that's what you're saying, but I'm
Right, I
trying to
understand.
make sure that the words that are on the paper mix with what we're saying.
I think if we
and-
get to that point, we can clean that up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Next question, Commissioner Lucas.
The section on being appointed to any board or position of trust requiring confirmation. So, if this passes, then would we then have to apply that to everybody that's?
A new appointee.
They were in arrears in their ad valorem, they would be precluded from being appointed.
That's
Is
correct.
that correct?
That's correct.
I still think that it's not going to hurt the intent, the full intent of this legislation by adding those few words to it. And it puts in the document a way to allow people to do business, but it also lets them know that they have a responsibility as well. And as I said before, if there's anybody around this semicircle who owes any taxes and has a payment plan, then that allowed you to speak affirmatively, yes, when you took your oath. Because it says any funds, that I'm not the holder of any funds unaccounted for. When you got your payment plan in place, then you were accounting for the monies that were owed. And so I just wanted to bring it home to us that that's not an unfair addition to this legislation, and I would hope that we would place that in there. I would hope that the sponsor would have agreed to that, because it's going to be some little old person who's going to come, who's going to need to utilize that particular thing, and then they've got to go through a whole lot of other stuff. So anyway, I hope that you will see what I'm saying and vote to approve the amendment.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. We do have an amendment sponsored by Commissioner Lucas and seconded. We're going to vote only on that first, and then we'll take the appropriate steps after that. So we have a motion by Commissioner Lucas. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. A roll call vote. We're going to start with Commissioner Tillman. Commissioner Tillman, how do you vote? Aye. Commissioner Watkins? Aye. Commissioner Howell? Aye. Commissioner Wilder? No. Commissioner Mayor Pro Tem Clark? No. Commissioner Jones? No. Mr. Lucas?
Yes.
Mr. Bronson? Yes. Mr. Wynn? That's a no? Is that amendment fails 5-4. We're back to the original legislation that I proposed. Commissioner Watkins, at this time, you want to make an amendment to that?
Yes, as stated earlier, I would like to strike the that B1, obtaining a building permit, plat approval, building inspection report, and certificate of occupancy from the resolution. And I guess I also would like to ask for, again, I guess it'll be at a later date or at our next meeting, if we could get a report on tax delinquency. I'd be curious as to what was collected, I guess, at the last full year, and what would 100%, what is the amount that is delinquent that we could collect if there was 100% collection?
Yes, sir.
The entire B1.
So B1 is what you're asking to strike to. Is that on property that's owned by individuals for residential purposes for homestead exemption?
Does it,
No,
the way I read it, it read any building permit or plat, any type of building permit. It didn't seem like it
Are you
delineated between homesteads.
Just to make it clear, you're
If it
striking
does.
through all the entire B1, or are you striking through obtaining or renewing any building permit, plat approval, building inspection report, certificate of occupancy?
Did I miss something? I'm sorry, I might be looking at a.
Yeah, look at
redacted
B1,
version.
yeah.
That would leave alcohol license and privilege license. still
Right,
in
that would,
there.
Okay, the version I'm looking at had that in another bullet. Okay, so yes. So it wouldn't be all of it. It would stop at the permit, plat approval, building inspection report, certificate of occupancy.
and is the intent of that for commercial and residential? I'm just trying to, or just residential?
I think for both of them, because even in the sense of commercial, if you've had an emergency happen to your building and you need to fix it, assuming that you were trying to sell chicken wings, I would like for you to fix the kitchen, get back to selling chicken wings, and get back to paying us taxes. I don't want the reason to create a circular argument of the reason you didn't pay us taxes is because you couldn't fix your grease trap or whatever that may be.
So
yes.
the proposed amendment, for everybody following with B1, and just read with me so we make sure we got it. The proposed amendment would be, starting with 1, obtaining or renewing any, and then striking out building through occupancy. And so it would read, obtaining or renewing any alcohol license or privilege license, but striking everything else out of B1. Is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And that would leave it to that you were just at that point getting a business license or alcohol license. If you were in bad standing, you wouldn't be able to get an alcohol license. I'm thinking about that right? I've left that there.
Yeah. So as amended, your proposal would be, it would read, obtaining or renewing any alcohol license or privilege license, but you would be striking out building permit, plat approval, building inspection reports, or certificate of occupancy. That's accurate. Is that right? Okay, that's the proposed amendment, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we have a motion to amend by Commissioner Watkins. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Lucas. Discussion on that amendment. Mayor Pro Tem Clark, is that on the amendment or something else?
I just wanted to second the, not physically, actually second, but the echo Commissioner Watkins' request for the delinquency report.
Any questions regarding Commissioner Watkins' amendment to that? And I will say, the only thing I will say is that the intent was commercial, but if this attempts to restrict the residential only, those who have homestead exemption that can't repair their own homes because they may be out of property taxes, then I certainly would be in favor myself. If it attempts to protect the commercial person in that same situation who has multiple businesses and applies for these permits and licenses, I still think it's the same way that I proposed it. So we do have a motion and second on this particular item. Commissioner Jones?
Yes, sir. With all due respect to the residential person, that's a far-fetched, or even a business, that's a far-fetched situation. If somebody's got a leak and they're going to repair it so they can keep their home or their family dry or their product dry, they're going to do it, regardless of safe built. You can count on it.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. We have a motion and second on the amendment Commissioner Watkins sponsored. All those in favor of the motion to accept his amendment, please say aye. Opposed, no? Noes have it. Go back to the original motion. The original motion that's on the table. Any other amendments? Commissioner Watkins.
Yes, I would like to, same amendment, but for it to just be homestead, commercial would still be fully penalized.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. We have a second to that motion. Second by Commissioner Lucas. Any discussion regarding that amendment?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So to address that, I would insert the word commercial prior to, so obtaining or renewing any commercial building permit, plat approval, building inspection report, certificate of occupancy, comma, alcohol license or privilege license.
Yes, sir.
Is that good?
Yes, sir. We have a motion and second. There's no further discussion on this amendment offered by Commissioner Watkins. Commissioner Howell?
I understand what the motion is, but now you're making it blanket to where the plat approval and all the other things apply. So, I mean, we can commend this all night, but until I see something with any real substantial changes where we're protecting the little guy, I'm gonna keep voting no.
Commissioner Clark?
How would this affect business transactions and permits for somebody that has a residential blighted structure?
So this only looks at ad valorem taxes. It does not look at business license fees. It does not look at any other, if they haven't been reporting their sales taxes or anything like that. It only looks at ad valorem property taxes. If they're blighted, then our blight tax ordinance makes their ad valorem tax millage rate go up by 7 times. And so they would have a larger tax due, but it still would just ask the question, are they compliant or do they owe money? And if they owe money over 90 days, then this would bar them from getting that permit, whatever privilege.
Would this amendment would it exempt them from the bar?
If it's for, you said residential business?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's how I would read it, is if it's for well, that's a good thing to clarify at this point. To the extent that they're doing commercial construction and they need a commercial building permit, plat approval, building inspection report, or certificate of occupancy, they would have to comply with this. To the extent that it's in the nature of a residential improvement or something, if they've got a home-based business and they're just adding a bedroom to their home, but it's a business, I don't think it would apply.
I agree with that.
Thank you.
Any additional questions regarding this particular amendment? Hearing no questions, we're voting on Commissioner Watkins' amendments. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, no. That motion fails. Back to the original motion that is on the agenda that I suggested. Do we have a motion to approve? A motion by Pro Tem Clark, second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. I heard at least two. Is that three? Four? Three?
Motion roll call.
Got a roll call, starting with Commissioner Wynn. How do you vote? Commissioner Bronson? Commissioner Lucas? Commissioner Jones? Pro Tem Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder? Commissioner Howell? Commissioner Watkins? Commissioner Tillman? Was it 6-3? That item passes, and we'll have it on the agenda at 6 o'clock for further discussion. All right, we do have a need to go into executive session. We have a motion to go into executive session for consultation with the county attorney for all legal counsel to discuss pending or potential litigations. All those allowed by law. Can I get a motion to go into executive session? So moved. Got a motion by Commissioner Bronson, second by Commissioner Wynn. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We're now in executive session. Right on time.
Then it'll
Although
probably
I'm
go.
going to look at this again.
Got it. It'll probably be, you'll be speaking towards the end.
Oh, you think this is gonna last?
Because I'm making myself look like a
No, I'm sure it's gonna be the best.
So the whole premise is me like throwing a ball into the air, like trying to swing the bat, which is
With two different camera shots.
and running out of frame, and then
What? The what? That was a good catch by the chair.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Macon-Bibb County Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, March the 1st. We welcome everyone here. We have several items on the agenda, but we've been working over the last couple of hours to take care of all the business for the county, and we'll discuss some of those items again tonight. I'd like to officially call this meeting to order. We haven't come out of executive session yet? Okay. I'm ahead of myself. All right, we're going to go back to committee of the whole meeting. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to come out of executive session. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We're now out of executive session. This meeting is hereby adjourned. We're going to immediately move into the next meeting. Today is Tuesday, March the 1st still, and we are calling the Macon-Bibb County Commission meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone here. We're going to begin our meeting tonight, as we always do, with a prayer. That prayer is going to be led by our own Pastor Livonia Franklin from Stewart Chapel AME Church. That will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So those who can and will, please stand, bow your head.
Dear faithful and loving God, we thank you now for the opportunity to serve a present age our calling to fulfill. We thank you now, God, for Mary and his family, all the commissioners and our leaders of this great community of makeup of Macon, Georgia. We pray now, God, that you would help us, strengthen us, and keep us as we try our best to help our children, our adults, and those that live in our community and in our town. We thank you now, God, for your goodness and your mercy for us. Bless us and keep us. Cover us in your blood and your care. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Say the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have no announcements tonight that I'm aware of, so we're going to move on to the approval of minutes. This is the approval of minutes from the February 15th, 2022 regular commission meeting. I get a motion to approve. A motion by Commissioner Wynn. Can I get a second? Second by who is that? Commissioner Bronson? Yes, ma'am.
Name was left off as being present, and I do read the minutes. And so, and I was quoted throughout the minutes, you know, making motions and everything, so I know I was there. So if
I distinctly
could
remember
have
you
that
being there that
corrected for posterity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I remember you being there. Okay, thank you. We'll correct the minutes to reflect that Commissioner Lucas was here in body and mind. So approval of the minutes for February 15th. We had a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We still have no presentations for tonight. Are we going to do the women's now? Well, now we do have a presentation. I'll ask our two women on the commission, Commissioner Elaine Lucas and Commissioner Valerie Wynn, to step to the microphone.
Ladies who are in the house tonight.
Okay.
Okay. You want to just
We want to do a kind of a together.
back and forth. This is, this Mayor and fellow commissioners, can we have our clerk of the commission to join us too?
Sure.
Come on, honey. It is our pleasure at this time to read a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to recognize the month of March 2022 as Women's History Month and for other lawful purposes. And it reads, whereas Women's History Month recognizes and spreads awareness of the importance of women in the history of the United States, the state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb County, and
Whereas throughout the history of the United States, whether in the house, in their home, their workplace, school, the courts, or in wartime, women have fought for themselves, their families, and all people of the United States, the state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb County. And
whereas American women have also been particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in the United States, the state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb County. And
whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions in the growth and strength of the United States, the state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb County in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And
whereas American women have played and continue to play a critical economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of the nation, the state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb County, by constituting a significant portion of the labor force working inside and outside of the home. And
whereas American women have played a unique role throughout the history of the nation, state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb County by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force. And whereas
American women were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions of our nation, state of Georgia, and Macon-Bibb County. And
whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background served as early leaders in the early forefront of every major progressive change movement, not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolition movement, the movement, especially the peace movement, which created a more just and fair society for all. And
whereas, despite these contributions, the role of American women has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in the literature, teaching, and study of American, Georgia, and local history. And
whereas the women of Macon-Bibb County have significant contributions throughout the history of the United States, such as Honorable Verda M. Colvin, Judge, Georgia Supreme Court; Chelsea Rathburn, Poet Laureate of the state of Georgia; Yvonne Williams, President and CEO, Greater Macon Chamber of Commerce; Kathy Cox and Dr. Jean Sumner, University Deans and Educators; Nancy Grace, American legal commentator and television journalist; Gwen Hyman Rubio and Lydia Meredith, authors; Carrie Preston, Cassie Yates, and Lisa Sheridan, actresses; Anita Howard, first female and African American district attorney for Macon-Bibb County; Mallory Burdette, collegiate and professional tennis player; Sarah Randolph Bailey and Sarah Mincy Hunt, education and activist.
whereas, not only during the month of March 2022, but throughout the remainder of the year, it is important that we acknowledge and value the contributions American women have made and continue to make in the nation and our local communities. And whereas
the Macon-Bibb County Commission finds that this resolution is necessary and proper to promote and protect the safety, health, peace, security, and general welfare of Macon-Bibb County and its inhabitants.
now therefore be it resolved by the Macon-Bibb County Commission, and it is hereby so resolved by the authority of the same, that the Macon-Bibb County Commission recognizes the month of March 2022 as Women's History Month, and urges that the citizens of Macon-Bibb County be mindful of the contributions of American women throughout the year.
Be it further resolved, the Macon-Bibb County Commission hereby declares that the foregoing preamble and whereas provisions set forth hereinto, this is where you get better, committee, and shall be considered to be substantive provisions of the resolution and hereby incorporated by reference into this provision.
Be it further resolved that in the event of any errors, that if they shall be discovered in the resolution after the adoption, this is authorization and direction that each such error be corrected in all multiple counterparts of this resolution.
Be it further resolved, the Macon-Bibb County Commission grants the mayor the authority to take any and all further actions necessary to carry out the intents and purposes of this resolution.
Okay. Be it further resolved, this resolution shall become effective immediately upon its approval by the mayor or upon its adoption into law without such approval. And, Mr. Mayor, I so move approval of this resolution in honor of Women's History Month.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lucas, a second by Commissioner Wynn. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Thank you very much. And thank you
Thank
everyone for being here today.
Are you going to do a picture with us, Mayor?
On this way with everyone in the background. So if everyone will line up here, I'll stand with the court.
Wait a second. Alrighty, public comments on agenda items. We don't have anything on the agenda items. We do have something on non-agenda items we'll get to in just a moment. We do have two items of new business on the agenda today. The first one is item A, reconsideration of new alcohol beverage license for Mac Atlanta 7 DBA P&P liquor stores. Mr. Howard will bring you up to date on that. My understanding, Mr. Howard, we previously denied this alcohol license for the liquor store based on the incorrect assumption that the measurements was not sufficient to allow them from the church near Log Cabin and Mercer University. Bibb County generally uses as a crow flies, and the state utilizes from door to door. And upon further measurements of that, it was concluded that they are within the necessary distance requirements to allow them to get a license renewed. Is that correct?
That is correct. If you apply the exemptions in accordance with Macon-Bibb County law, which can be found in section 4-97A and B.
So you've been speaking with counsel for the P&P liquor store, and we had reached a resolution for consideration by this commission tonight that upon further review, that the recommendation from legal will be to accept this renewal.
That is correct.
Okay. That is my motion. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries. Item B is a recommendation of new alcohol beverage license for Easy Mart located at 3253 Mercer University Drive, Macon, Georgia. Legal recommends approval. Attorney Howard, if you'll let us know the circumstances on why this is on the agenda.
Yes, this store, originally, the Easy Mart originally marked itself as a food mart, and upon inspection, initially did not have the required food items. I was informed by the agent that they were still working to stock those food items. Code Enforcement Officer Rick Wolverton went and did an inspection at a later date on February 17th, 2022, and determined at that time that the store, Easy Mart, did meet the qualifications for a food mart. So due to a change in the underlying facts, I have changed my recommendation from denial to approval.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve? Got a motion by Commissioner Wynn. Get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Tillman.
When did we hire Rick Wolverton? How long he been with us?
To my knowledge, he's been employed for at least 7 months.
Yeah, I got a record on him, 7 months. Go all the way back to the NAACP.
Thank you, Mr. Tillman. We have a motion and second for approval. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries 8-1. Thank you very much. Going to move on to old business items. We've already handled the one of the items on there, item G, which is unanimously approval for the month of March 2022 as Women's History Month. We're going to take 3 separate votes on items E, G, and J. Oh, I'm sorry. Make that E, J, and R, and then we'll move on to consent agenda. So item E is a new alcohol beverage license for Marketplace located at 5631 Houston Road. That's my motion. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? Okay. That motion carries. Going to move on to the next item, which is item J. Item J is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with the Macon-Bibb County EOC, Inc., granting a community development block grant in the amount of $10,000 in the provision of transportation services for the homeless community. That's my motion. Can I get a second? Got a second by Commissioner Bronson. Any discussion? Commissioner Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I said in the earlier meeting, I don't understand us giving this kind of money to the homeless community. Transportation, I didn't ask Ms. Wanzina when she or Ms. Jackson when she was here, but I don't know where the transportation would start. Does it start at Brookdale? Does it start under Spring Street Bridge? These people are homeless. They don't have a place to pick them up, and it's supposed to be used to transport them to medical, to housing if they're looking for housing, and for employment. I don't think any of these people that are homeless really are looking for those things. I think they're looking to stay on the streets for a lot of them. Some of them, by circumstances beyond their control, don't want to be homeless. We want to help those. I'd rather see us do something like if they're going to be picked up at Brookdale, because there was no definite description of what this transportation meant, where it was coming from, where it was going to. I think I'd like to see money spent on our local elderly community that are true citizens of this community, not homeless people that come and go, but the true citizens of this community. Our elderly need transportation for medical reasons, for going to the grocery store. I'd like to see that money used for them versus for homeless people that are not true citizens of this community. I'm just concerned that we're putting so much money into the homeless community, and some of these people don't want the kind of help that we're putting money into. And I think that we need to reconsider what we do with this kind of money. I know it's a block grant, but I think that this is something that we should really think hard about in the future, where we're going to spend this money. Do we want to spend it on our citizens, the ones that need it, our elderly, perhaps our young people that have no transportation to get to school? We just need to look at that. It would be nice if we gave out bus vouchers at Brookdale for those people that wanted to go to these things, or if they needed help getting to a medical appointment, call up and we'll get them a bus voucher or something like that. What are they going to do, pick them up in a limo and take them to their medical appointment? I just don't think that this is where we need to spend $10,000. I think we need to spend it on our citizens, the taxpayers of this community.
Thank you, Mr. Wynn.
Thank you.
Just keep in mind, these are EOC monies that apply for this grant.
I understand, Mr. Mayor.
And that's how the money has come from. Commissioner Lucas, did you have something to add?
I get in trouble when I start trying to quote the Bible, so my pastor will just have to work with me later on. But for the grace of God, go I. Is that kind of close, Reverend? $10,000 for services to the homeless. I've been in position to see some of these things being done, the transportation being provided, and the transportation, most of it is by referral from agencies that work with the Homeless Coalition, who recognize a need that someone has for transportation and they fill it. This $10,000, I think, will enhance what's already there, but we need to open our minds to the real needs in the community, and arguing about $10,000 to get people to their needed services, I just think is a waste of a lot of folks' time. So I'm planning to support this.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Commissioner Bronson?
Hey, so I know we hear the terminology citizens a lot, and when we start talking about citizenship and so forth, you have to realize that citizenship is anybody that inhabits a town or a city. So in essence, these are citizens of our community that we have been entrusted to support and do what we can for. So in saying that, if we are supporting them by assisting in getting them the resources that they need, let's continue to do so.
Thank you,
We're
Mr.
doing our
Bronson.
job, so.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries once again 8-1. We're going to move on to the final item. Item R on this agenda is an ordinance to adopt a new section 26.51 of Chapter 26 of the Macon-Bibb County Code of Ordinances to require applicants for privileges from the Macon-Bibb County government to certify their good standing with respect to payment of ad valorem taxes to add cross-reference sections throughout the code. Can we get a motion to approve? Got a motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Any discussion regarding item R? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. I'm sorry. Was that 7-2? That motion carries 7-2. This time, we're going to move on to the consent agenda items, which is item A through item R, with the exceptions of the ones that we just singled out. We have a motion to approve. Motion by Commissioner Wynn. Can we get a second? Second by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Any discussion regarding those items on the consent agenda? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. There's no need to go into executive session. We do have a person that wants to speak on the non-agenda items. So Ms. Diane Van, if you'll come forward on the podium, and she wishes to speak with us about electric car charging, I think at City Hospital. So Ms. Van, you've got 5 minutes to speak. If you need all 5, that's okay. If you don't, that's okay as well. So you may begin.
Well, I brought handouts for the members to just go over on their own. January 5th, my husband was in the hospital just for a regular routine kind of surgery, and I spent the night in the hospital with him. They had me move my car to the garage that was parking deck A, and it amazed me as I entered that parking deck how many of the spaces, oh, you go ahead and take that one, that's fine. The spaces were taken by, charging electric cars. And then you went up around and in the multi-story parking deck, which is connected by a passage to the hospital. And in the event, there have been a lot of electric fires that have been making the news. I know they're not making, there haven't been that many, but there's been some outstanding news reports. And in the event, I was happy yesterday to go back to that same parking lot and see that they'd pulled a lot of those charging stations. In the event, I only found one in that garage. Now, I've included a map of the hospital and how many parking garages there are. So there may be others in the other parking garages, but you'll see that following the map, I have a picture of what can happen with one car charger that goes awry, and the fact that it will impact and burn the cars next to it. And again, if it's in a underground, it's particularly dangerous to everybody and their cars. Yes, and in the event, it turns out that to put out a lithium battery fire, the temperature has to be lowered of the fire. So it takes a lot of ingredients, and fire departments evidently have been standing off and letting things burn to the ground. And there it's also a fear of it exploding and hurting the firemen. So they have had also, when it gets to a certain temperature, again, it's going to probably spread. So when it's brought down to a more manageable temperature and they think they've got it under control, there can be a new explosion. So handling this kind of fire, I would hope that the fire department here in Macon-Bibb has really looked at where these car charging stations are being placed.
1 minute.
Huh?
Giving you 1 minute notice so you know.
Okay. I'd like to know if you guys been aware and what is the plan regarding this new structure going up where the old mall was and so on. I just feel like we need to be very, very conscious of these problems.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments tonight. I appreciate you being here. We're certainly looking into that. The hospital's private property, but we certainly are in possession of the mall, so it's something that we're looking into. So thank you for being here tonight. That does complete our business on the agenda tonight. I will remind commissioners that there is a house demo again tomorrow morning at 8:30 at 843 Lexington Street. If you'd like to come and watch that, and I'm not sure whose district that in, I forgot. I think that's Commissioner Bronson's district. So perhaps you'll see him there tomorrow. So this completes our business tonight. I don't see any items for personal speeches tonight, so this time this meeting here adjourned.